Hey, welcome everybody back to another great episode of the REDX podcast. We are here bringing you the best people from across this great nation to talk real estate and help you with prospecting and generally in real estate. And today is no exception. We have with us Joe Rosen from Port St. Lucie, and one of my favorite guests. Just love having him here. Joe, just say hi to everybody real quick as we get started.
What's going on, everybody?
You can tell just from him saying hi why I love having him on and why I love talking with Joe. He's always happy. Just a couple of housekeeping items for everyone tuning in right now. This is participatory, so if you've got a question, throw it in the comments. You're welcome to say hi, tell us where you're coming from, and we'll keep track there. If there's some questions we can bring into the show live, we'll bring them in. But if not, just follow us on Facebook at the REDX prospecting community, where we can keep the conversation going and answer any of your questions that you have. And make sure to subscribe to this podcast at redx.com/podcast, so you always know what we've got coming up and that you can stay in contact with us wherever you listen to your podcast. But hey, we need to get to what we're doing here today, and that's talking with Joe. We're going to talk circle prospecting and some other great strategies for using GeoLeads. And but Joe, first, for those that maybe haven't, which if they've listened to the podcast, they know you, but introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll get talking.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on here. I love you guys. The partnership I've had with you guys it's so helpful. And I'll tell you why is because I love pitching REDX to everybody, because everybody wants Zillow leads, right? That's what they want. And Zillow leads are $1 million and people can't afford it. Am I going to get the ROI? And I'll tell you, the ROI is getting lower and lower on Zillow leads. And you guys are honestly, I don't even know how you charge as little as you do. You're so incredibly affordable. It's so helpful. You need to do it anyway, right? Like, you need to be on the phones. It helps you fill your CRM. So for me, I think I get way more out of this than you guys do when I come on the show. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. But anyway, who am I? I'm Joe Rosen. I'm from Minnesota. I sold real estate there for 5-6 years. I was a top 2% agent. I got into the Army for 10 years. Who the hell knows? I know why. It was because I was partying a lot, man. I partied my butt off with that money I was making as a 20-some-year-old kid. At least I was aware enough to know I had a problem. So I went to the Army to straighten me out. They did it. Had over 100 combat missions, all in Afghanistan. Worked at the National Security Agency. Got married, got older, I'm a father now. All of that straightened me out. And I thought, man, I've still got a passion for business, for real estate. I don't know about freezing cold Minnesota, especially this year. My gosh, you're having these problems too, man. With snow. But, let's go somewhere where there's some heat, some ocean. So we came down here to Port St. Lucie, which is in South Florida. It's north of West Palm Beach, about 45, 50 minutes. And I just went to town. When I landed here, I didn't know a soul in Florida. This was almost 4 years ago. It's crazy to think it's been 4 years. Almost 4 years ago, I had 31 scheduled appointments, and I didn't know a person. And that was all just outreach and Facebook and social media and whatever. And I went to work. So I started at Keller Williams. I was there for probably 7-8 months, moved to EXP, which is where I'm at now. We've got an organization of over 40 agents. I've got a team of about, I think it's 8 or 9 of us. We've got a transaction coordinator. We've got staff on board. And we're kicking butt, man. And it's fun down here. And I love this stuff. I am super passionate about it. And honestly, I could probably, I'm not hoping for this, but I could make 30 grand a year and still do this. I love it. So yeah,
that's good. And like I said at the beginning, you can tell, Joe, you've got a passion for everything that you do and about real estate. And a plug back at you. I follow Joe on social media, and not only is it fun, but if you want up-to-date tips, what's going on in the industry, you should be following Joe too. He's on top of it and has super useful information. But Joe, let's kind of get back a little bit, maybe to where you started, or just kind of like why circle prospecting? Why did you get into the GeoLeads type prospecting with all the other different options that you could use?
Sure. So I'll tell you why I got into it. And then I'll tell you, as a team leader who is now, I don't have to do it. I'll tell you why I still think it's incredibly important. Why did I get into it? Because I knew Ricky Carruth, and Ricky Carruth was successful, and he told me to do it, so I did it.
That's a good reason. I like Ricky.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, even when I was in Minnesota, I had a really good, still a good friend, mentor. He is the broker now. He was an agent before at the place I worked. It's a place called Edina Realty. He's the broker now, and he told me, you're the craziest son of a gun I've ever met. You're probably the one who will actually cold call. Go do it. And so I used to pull out the phone book. I'd show up at 6 a.m. and I would go through from 6 to about 7:15, 7:30, and I jot down all these. I had to do it manually, man, because I didn't know what REDX was. And then I would run them against the do not call list, and then I'd have a list of however many, and I had to manually punch them out and talk and punch them out and talk. And I remember one of the biggest opportunities I ever got. It was 188 acres on the Mississippi River, had a huge like castle-like home on it.
Wow.
That's a 45-minute story in and of itself. But I got that from cold calling, and it was probably 2 weeks into cold calling. And from then on, I was addicted to it, man. So when I got back into it, I thought, hey, this is incredibly affordable. It's fast if you get a triple dialer. It fills your CRM, which I'll tell you this, I've only been here for 4 years. We've got over 40,000 people in our CRM.
That's amazing.
And I'd be willing to bet, although I don't have the statistic up, I bet you 25 to 28,000 of those 40 come from REDX circle prospecting leads that we're driving in there by the hundreds a day. And it really makes your whole system roll. If you're really knowing how to work your CRM, man, this is the beginning of everything, right? But I'll tell you, as a team leader, I know if you come in and you've got the mindset, hey, I want those paid, I'm picking on Zillow. I want those paid Zillow leads, man. That's the team I'm going to. You're going to have a tough time being successful. And it's not because Zillow leads aren't great and Zillow leads won't get you closings. They will. It's because the skills you need to close the person, not just on an appointment, but once you get there and they want to put that really crappy offer that's 30, 40 grand low, you've got to be able to talk some sense into them. When they see that inspection, that's a normal inspection that most people should be okay with, and they want every one of the 43 items fixed, you got to talk some sense into them. When they have an issue halfway through and their financing is falling apart and they've got to, jump through some hoops and think outside of the box, but they're emotionally drained, you've got to be the motivator. You got to be the person pushing them, and you've got to have those skills. There's no faster way to get those skills and deal with that rejection and those objections, and going to role play, I think, is a critical part. You can't do all that at the scale you can. At least I've never seen a way to do it more so than you can through prospecting. So I know,
I love that.
Yes, I'm excited for you to do some sales. Yes, I'm excited for you to fill your CRM, but really there's no way to get you in front of more people quicker than by circle prospecting.
I love that. And I love the idea that it's not just the result of actually filling your CRM and getting listing, which is the ultimate result.
Yeah.
But as a team leader, you're talking about skills that are obtained by actually doing the right activities all the time. And that's the market that we're in. So many people have talked about the market shift. What does it mean? Well, people are still moving and people still have need a realtor. And the difference in the market today is that it's a skills-based market, right? It's not anybody who can just put a for sale sign in the yard and get that thing sold like it might have been in 2020. Right now, we're in a skills-based market where those who have developed those attributes, those skills, will succeed. Not just can succeed, they will succeed.
Yep.
So you have a team, you're training them. They're doing circle prospecting. They're filling up their CRMs. What are some things that you're working on them? Because circle prospecting, you can kind of go anywhere with it. It could be a just listed, just sold. It could be a neighborhood you want to get into, but maybe how do you refine it within like the MLS that you're in, and how do you work that and train your team?
That's an awesome question. And I'll tell you, it's become a more important question to be asking yourself lately, right? Because the market has changed and every market's different. So you're in Utah, I'm in South Florida. Some people listening here I see are in New York. These are all different markets, but I'll give you an example of where your head needs to be. Right now in my market, a lot of people think it's a hot market. And if you look, I literally just pulled these stats about 2 hours ago for a seller who's selling their home at $500,000. If you look from $200,000 to $400,000, the inventory is 5 weeks, right? 3 to 4 months is kind of a neutral market in my opinion. That is a smoking hot market. 5 weeks is a red hot market for that first time home buyer, $200,000 to $400,000 range. Now, I showed them that's super sexy, right? Well, now let's look from 450 to 550. And it was 5.5 months, right? So it was a completely different market. Now we're looking at a buyer's market instead of a red hot seller's market. So this guy's looking at all the people who are talking in town saying, market's hot, can't believe how crazy it is, multiple offers. And he's thinking that's what's going to happen. I'm saying, hey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's look at some data here. So as a circle prospector, how does that help you? I'm not going to invest my time trying to get listings in that $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range. Sure, that's a sexy price point, but if my odds of selling and the inventory out there is so high, why would I do that, right? Instead, I'm focusing on those $300,000 to $400,000 homes because those homes are selling lickety split. So now I'll tell you, 2 years ago, I would look at the average price point. Maybe it was right around $400,000. And I'd look at the 450 to 550 range because I wanted an above average price point. I'm not doing that now. Why am I not doing that? It's not because I'm special. It's because the MLS is telling me what I need to be doing, right? But it's only going to tell me if I listen. So really looking at those MLS statistics, it's going to make you worlds better in listing appointments. It's going to make you worlds better in giving recommendations to your buyers. And I'll tell you, when you do it, and it takes you 5-10 minutes a week to look up these MLS stats, when you do it consistently, habitually, every single week, that 5-10 minutes will increase your confidence by tenfold. And when you're speaking to these people, they're going to feel it, and your confidence is going to exude from you into them. It's going to instill confidence in them, and they're going to move forward with your recommendations at a higher rate. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. And it's just knowing what's going on in your market, understanding the data, understanding the market. We have a couple people that are curious of the story you just said. So because we all get the 2 to 4, that's where it's hot. That's where you're going to go. How'd that conversation go with your client when you had the data to present to them?
So he's a for sale by owner. And I've been chasing him. And so most people's strategy is go after him, show him your value, get the listing. I do the opposite, man. For me, I always have a list of about 18 to 20 for sale by owners that I'm talking with. And I've got 12 things that I do to offer value. So when I first reach out, I'm, hey, Robert, how you doing, man? How's the sale going? Awesome. Listen, when I drove by, I actually missed your home. I had to turn around and come back. And I thought, why did I miss that? It was because you don't have a sales sign in your yard. And I get it. Right. You told me you're an insurance agent, right? I'm a professional real estate agent, so I understand why you wouldn't. But what I did was I stopped by Home Depot for another person and I picked up a couple signs. I thought of you, picked up an extra one. I just dropped it off. It's sitting by your mailbox. If you want to use it, great. Listen, it cost me $15, so it's no big deal. You can put, I even set a marker next to it. You can put your name and number on it. And now you can get more leads. People are going to know where you're at. I'm telling you, other than the MLS, it's the best marketing tool you've got, right? Well, I've got 12 of those things. So I'm reaching out every 2 days, giving them some sort of value. Today, I gave this guy a CMA video. It was a 26-minute CMA video. He said, Joe, I've had 3 realtors give me prices and they're all over the place. He said, yours was different too, but with that video, I saw why you were at the price you were at, and it made me confident in what you were saying. I don't like what you're saying, but that answers your question. I don't like what you're saying, but it's hard to argue with you when I can see exactly how you got to that. And with the other 3 realtors, I have no idea what they're getting their prices from.
Yeah, man. You know what? With that conversation, I think everyone listens like, I think I want to join Joe's team, man. This guy knows how to talk to circle prospecting and to
Careful what you ask for, man. I'm hardcore.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, so that's good. That's what you're training your team to do with the GeoLeads in your market using the MLS data. What are some other techniques or tips and tricks that you're training your team as they're pulling new leads every day, making the cold calls and using GeoLeads? What are some of those?
So I'll give you just some basic things, right? When I teach my guys how to do this coming in brand new, like I said, I usually look at the average price point and then I go just a little bit higher because I want above average price points. And wherever you're fishing, guess what? Those are the type of fish you're going to collect. So you get to pick here, right? It's like marketing. I will list a home 30 minutes away, but I'm not going to choose to market to those homes. I'm going to market to homes that are 5-10 minutes from my house. So I'm fishing in markets that are 5-10 minutes from my house. I'm also not looking at sale. Well, let me back this up a little bit. I'm looking for where there's a high concentration of sales in the last 12 to 24 months, because if there's, traditionally a lot of sales in that area, I don't even care what the why is. There's probably going to be a lot of sales in the next 12 months in that area, right? With the exception of new construction. If it's a brand new area and it's new construction, it either might be mostly or all sold. And even if it's not, a lot of times they got a buyer's or a builder's rep, so they're not going to work with me anywhere. At least it's a different strategy for me to attack those people, right? So I'm not looking at new construction. I'm looking at things that are 3 years old and older. And I'm going to these communities that usually are a little bit higher in price. Right now, I'm looking in that 300 to 400 because that's what's actually selling. And then I'm looking for, hey, where's a home that sold in the last 2, 3, 4 days? And I'm just going to call the 200 people around it. And when I call them, it's, hey, Robert, hey, how you doing, man? Joe Rosen here. I'm a local agent. Just wanted to call because there was a home right down the street from me. I think it was 2 blocks from me, actually. Just sold a couple days ago. Wanted to let you know that. See if there's anything I can do to help you, man. What's going on? And then just kind of getting that conversation going. And I'll tell you, a lot of people will make 50 calls and they'll say, Joe, circle prospecting doesn't work, man. And I'll say, dude, make 30,000 calls and then let me know what your conversion rates are. I have yet to meet one agent who says circle prospecting doesn't work, but can show me 5 figures worth of calls they've made and the conversion ratios from it. If you ask a stud who says it works, probably 80-90% of them can show you the conversion rates, right? So is it scary? Is it rejection filled? Is it uncomfortable? 100%. But you're either here to win or you're going to be part of the 87% who fails, right? You got to pick which group you want to be in. And for me, I don't care. I'll start licking walls. If you tell me that's what it takes to make me successful, I don't give a damn what it is. So get out there and do it. And I'm telling you, like I said, it's not going to feel comfortable, but it's going to make you so much better. But I want to get back to one other thing.
Yeah.
With this tracking I'm talking about, we just did our, we have trainings every Tuesdays and Thursdays, right, with my team. And the last training of the quarter, which is today, is focused on goal review. So we create all our goals in December, the year prior, for the year. And at the end of every quarter, we do a deep dive for an hour into where we're at as a team and where we're at as individuals, both in accordance with, hey, what did you say you wanted to do and what did you do? And if you didn't hit the mark, let's talk about why. If it was your business plan, let's tweak your plan. And if it was you, let's maybe tweak your discipline, your motivation, your sleep habits, maybe you're drinking too much, whatever it is, let's talk about it. We need to fix it if you're serious, right? And then we talk about what we're going to do for the next 3 months. Well, I'll tell you today, we're down in our numbers. And that's no surprise. Everybody I talked to is down in their numbers, right? But I said, guys, the bad news is we're down in numbers. The good news is you can see the conversion ratios and how they've changed. And you can tweak how many calls you need to make a day to get the intended sales you want because we track. So guys, if you want to control your business, yes, the conversion ratios will change. But if you're tracking them using a business like Sisu, which is SISU, or we use CTE, it's just CTE, you can have a company that's going to track all this stuff for you, different levels of prettiness and all that good stuff. But now, literally at the end of the day, we all go in. It's a simple link. I punch in all my numbers. How many dials did I make? How many conversations did I have? How many appointments did I set with buyers? Appointments set with sellers? How many under contract? How many offers did I submit? We've got 11 or 12 stats we put in there. It takes me 30 seconds to do that. And now when we look at numbers in our Monday meetings, we know exactly where our strengths and weaknesses are. When we look at our quarterly reviews, we know exactly how many calls we need to start making if we want to hit the numbers we were talking about in December. So guys, I can't stress it enough. You really want to get in there and track your data.
And I mean, when you're doing that, it's just math, right? If you know X amount of calls is resulting in X amount of contacts, which results in X amount of listing appointments, so it gets me my sales. If you know those numbers, then you just have to tweak the top of that funnel and the output is going to be the same every time, right? Because this is math.
Absolutely it is. And I forget what our numbers were, but as an example, let's say that our numbers from last year said we had to make 500 dials to get a closing. And we said, okay, we want to have 50 closings. You can take 50 times 500. Man, I might need some help with this. 25,000 dials I need, right? So now I can start to, okay, let's divide that out by, 52. And now you've got a weekly dial amount you need to go after. Well, if you're not hitting your goal, You can look at that conversion rate and say, oh, now it's taking 600 dials to get a closing because the market has softened. Cool. So now I can rework those numbers and do the reverse engineering. And instead, I'm completely making this up, but instead of needing 500 dials a week, maybe I need 600 dials a week, right? But now you control it because you track it.
That's right. And you don't have to just, I mean, like you said, everyone sees, oh, the market's changing and it's softening and I'm getting fewer closings than I was. But the people that are tracking know exactly what to do and how to react to that, as opposed to saying, market changed, nothing I can do. You're tracking your numbers. You say, I know exactly what I can do, and my business isn't going to be affected at all. So that's the
here's the good news of a softening market, right? If you're not out on appointments, if you're not showing homes, if you're not on listings, you just freed up more time to make calls. So there's no reason, like it really doesn't matter what the market does. When it's busy, I remember complaining. I was like, dude, I'm not doing enough prospecting because I'm always out on these doggone appointments, right? Now we need to talk about ISAs and staff and everything else. But when it softens, thank you, baby Jesus. Now I've got time to come in here, make these calls, do the follow-ups, crushing it, man. So you really have no excuse.
That's awesome. We have one question about wondering if you or your team, if any of them are using the GeoLeads for direct mailers, or if you have any advice in that way.
So I can see his deal here, Guillermo. We do not do direct mail. I will do, like, if I have a conversation with Robert Sullivan, I will send you a handwritten thank you card, or I will send you, a CMA or something like that. But as far as like, hey, blanketing a 10,000 person neighborhood, we don't do it. It's not because it doesn't work. It does work. It's because we've put those dollars into our website, into REDX, into retargeting through Facebook ads, Google pay-per-click leads, AI within our CRM staff. That's just where we've chosen to do it. You can do it in other ways, but for me, I've done mailing in the past, and my ROI has almost been whatever I put in, I get out. Maybe I get 10% more. It's not a lot, but for me, I didn't like it. And maybe it's me. Maybe I suck at it, but I've never been a huge fan. I'm also very aggressive. And for me, that's the least aggressive way to market to somebody. I want to get in your face. I want to have a conversation. I know that when I'm either door knocking or calling, if I'm having a voice-to-voice conversation with you, the odds that I convert you skyrocket versus any passive thing that I just send you and I hope you open, right? And with magazine marketing, same thing. I'm not going to say it's dumb or it's intelligent, but I will say I have not spent six figures, but I've easily spent five figures on, magazine, newspaper. I don't think I've ever gotten a phone call specifically from one. If I'm in a listing appointment, does it edify me and maybe make it easier to, get the listing? Maybe. Is that trackable? No. I've had billboards too. This was back in Minnesota between probably 2004 and 2009-ish. Did it get me any listings, any buyers? No, at least not measurable, not that I knew of. But when I got into a listing appointment, did it edify me and maybe it gave me a little bit of a nudge? I'll never know, but maybe. So for me, I want to know when I'm investing X amount of dollars, I'm getting X amount of leads. Here's my conversion ratio. It's just me. So again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but for me, I want aggressive ways to go after leads. And aggressive for me means voice to voice.
I mean, ultimately, I think if I'm hearing you right, it comes back to your business plan, right? You
Yep,
have a specific
100%.
business plan for your team, and that's not part of yours. And even backing up a little bit, I mean, you're the expert agent here, and that's why I love hearing my deal is marketing. And so when you were talking about how you use GeoLeads, that is the same for everybody. You have to figure out who you're trying to get a hold of, because it's not everybody. It's not everybody. So you got to figure out who, and then you go where they are. Yep. And so there might be a neighborhood, there might be a market where direct mail or billboards are going to be better. And that's the people you're trying to talk to. Just like in GeoLeads, you say, hey, this is the kind of home I want, and I want it within 5 to 10 minutes of my house. So now you know who you're talking to and you pick those out. So I love it, and I think it goes back. Now we're getting a little bit short on time here, Joe. So I want to make sure that we covered everything that you wanted to help. Is there any last bit of advice or anything that you wanted to make sure to let our audience know today?
No, I do a lot of these, and I do a lot of trainings, and we invite a lot of people to our events. And probably the number one question I get is, what separates the 13% who make it from the 87% who don't. And really, there's a handful of things that I'll share with you guys if you jot them down. And this is one of the things. Studs, I'm going to call them studs and duds, man. Studs take notes all the time. You might be listening to this thinking, I know everything. And you might. But if you take notes, I think it's like 60% more retainability if you take the notes. So every time I'm listening to something, I'm always taking notes, even if I think I know it beforehand, right? Plan every day before you do it. So yesterday, I had today all written out so that I'm not wasting time thinking if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm negative, if I had a bad experience, I lost a deal. It's not going to throw me off track. I've got that thing staring at me saying, Joe, you're 2 minutes behind on this. Do it. And now, even though I might be in a bad mood or I just lost a deal, I'm driving forward fast because I feel like I'm behind. If you don't create that, you're going to move slow like the other 87%, right? Move fast like the 13%, and that's the way to do it. You have to prospect every day. That's your first appointment. I recommend at least 3 hours. And guys, prospecting is not this negative rejection-filled thing. I literally open up my CRM. I put some AC/DC on in the back. You don't know, I might be here with no pants on, right? I'm sitting in my house right now. I'm drinking bottled water, like just enjoying life. I might even be out at my pool, and all I'm doing is calling people with the intent, and this intent is huge. If you've got the intent of making a commission, good luck. They're going to feel it. It's going to come through in all your actions, your intent. Yeah. It's going to be ugly. But if you've got the intent of helping people, like you would help your sister, your mom, your kid, whatever, they're going to feel that, and you're not going to care when someone swears at you on the phone. You're going to say, I guess I can't help this person, but I bet I can help the next person, and it's not going to bother you. If you're thinking about commissions, it's going to bother you because you didn't make a commission on that phone call. So get rid of that whole thought about commissions. I know it's tough because that's what we're here for, but if you can get rid of it, man, it's going to help you out immensely.
I love it. Joe, you've shared so much good stuff. And like I mentioned, I enjoy following you, even if I don't need to know everything going on in Port St. Lucie. I do because I follow you. How can our listeners find out more about you, whether it's following you on social media or a website that they can go to connect with you?
Absolutely. So I'm on Facebook, The Joe Rosen Show. I'm on Instagram, The Joe Rosen Show. You can look up thejoerosenshow.com, and that's my YouTube channel. I do at least 3 videos a week. I'm trying to help buyers and sellers in my market, even buyers and sellers not in my market, and I'm trying to help agents as well. And guys, if you ever reach out to me, you can go find me on any one of these sites, send me a DM, and I will always help you with anything, right? I'll give you my phone number. You can call me. I'll do a Zoom call with you. As long as you're executing, that's how you pay me. I don't want any money. I don't charge for anything. But if you keep executing, you can keep calling me. If you don't, I'm not going to answer your calls. But if you execute, man, that's my payment. So, yeah, but I appreciate it, Robert. And you guys have been such just great people to link up with. And I say people and not a company because I've met you guys. I love you guys. You're all good to me. If I have any problems, you guys literally treat me like our 2 businesses are one. And I just couldn't be happier working with you guys, man. You're a great, great, great partnership.
Well, thanks, Joe. We love having you on. Love your energy. Love your advice. You're successful for a reason, and I think people listening can tell that. So, to all listeners today, Joe had some good advice. So write it down, like you said.
Write it down.
And I know personally because I've reached out to Joe, he will answer. So, so if you want to connect with him, you can find him there in the at his website or on social media. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for taking your time today to share with us everything. We know you're busy, so I appreciate that a lot. Thank you to everyone else who joined in live today and those that are going to be listening in the next couple of days on our recorded podcast and on YouTube. And to know what's coming up, just make sure you subscribe at theredx.com/podcast so that you can stay up to date with all our great guests that we're bringing you. We will see you here next week, same time, same place. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you, Joe. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.